I haven't done it. Good afternoon. It's Lorraine here in sunny Osoyoos, British Columbia, and we're here with another series number 3 of ownership, taking ownership for your well-being through the principles of for the core alignment. And today we're going to start another series, and we're working on O for observation. So Lynne is going to be here and to lead the session. So take it away, Lynne.
All right. Well, welcome. And I'm glad we're back because it was a very nice to have that focus over the last year. And so what we're going to be doing is working through another series of diving into language and looking at how it supports our wellness. So we're going to be looking at the concept of taking more ownership for your health. We're going to be looking at the first word that we're going to be looking at today is observance, but we're going to be working our way through a word for W, which is warrior. We're going to be working through being notable. We're going to be looking at evolvement, rapture, steadfast, harmony, impression, and passionate. And so that's kind of where we're going to go over the next 10 weeks. And I think it's a nice time of year to have a new focus. It's, we're having a change of season, going from the nice warm summer into the time of winter and fall and Thanksgiving and going inside. So we're going to start with the question, and the question we're going to start with today is, tell us something that had your attention this summer. So say your name, say where you are, and what was something that had your attention this past summer. So my name is Lynne and I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and something that had my attention this past summer and still has my attention is the blue skies that we've been able to enjoy. The weather can often be very variable here in Calgary. One moment it can be nice, the next moment it can be very stormy, but we've had a lot of blue skies, and I really there's something about a beautiful blue sky. So that's something that had my attention through the summer. So Olive?
My name is Olive. I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Something that had my attention this summer has been trees. I've enjoyed watching the transition from the green of the summer to the yellows and browns and reds of the fall. That's what had my attention.
Thank you. Madeline?
Hi, I'm sorry I was a little late. I apologize.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So something that has had my attention this summer was that
Yeah. So that's
okay.
the opening question. So say your name, say where you are. And
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I'm Madeline. I'm in Calgary, Alberta. And something that has had my attention this summer are books. I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been sitting outside and reading. I've been taking some editing courses and books, words. That's what's got my attention right now.
That's awesome. That'll go with our theme with looking at more words and how to take more ownership for our wellness.
Nice.
So, that's awesome. How about you, Lorraine?
Okay, I'm Lorraine and I'm in British Columbia. And what is something that's got my attention this summer? Well, a lot of things, the blue sky, the calm lakes, the beautiful weather. But one thing that I've been delving into is looking at somebody to coach me. And I thought, well, at my age, why would I need a coach? So I dived in and made a decision to go on Dr. Vitale. So I got a coach through his program. And it's been amazing how, what we've gone through. And so it's really setting the tone of where I'm at with myself today. And in hindsight, I wish I'd had a coach many, many, many years ago, what things would change. So that's what got my attention. And I was got all these notes and I'm reading books, Think and Grow Rich, and my focus is on money. And there's lots to learn about about investing and where the world economy is going. And my door is just opened up, I tell you. So,
Well, and you're still in it too.
I'm still in it, yes.
Yep. Cool. Well, that will go into, that will help us to navigate through this next season of taking more ownership for our health and wellness, because really our wealth and our riches and how we live is all very much a part of our health, I believe. I mean, we definitely have more opportunity when we can feel secure and safe. And so the first word we're going to be looking at today is observance. And it's to me, that's a very powerful word. I don't know, it brings up a lot for me. And so I did look it up. I had to look up observe because I immediately went into what am I seeing and how to, what am I aware of? And it plays into some of the principles of core alignment and emotional wisdom training, in the sense that one of the first things is to become aware of our present and where I'm at right now. And so I believe that observance, to observe, is one way that helps me to come more present. So when you think of the word observance, what is the first thing that comes up for you, Lorraine?
The first thing that came up for me when I thought the word observance is religion, because you often hear that context, your observance in a religion. And when you pray, there's a specific way that you've been taught to be reverence and to be observant in a spiritual sense. So that was the first thing that came into my mind of observance.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and it's a comforting feeling when you have that spiritual observance of something spiritual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Olive?
That was the first thing that popped into my mind too, was religious observance. I was raised Catholic, and observance of rituals and rules was a big thing in my house. I'm not so attached to it anymore, but that was the first thing that I thought of when that word observance was put out there.
How about you, Madeline?
Well, I guess more in terms of a visual, observe, to see, to take note of. That's kind of where I first went. But as you all talk about it in terms of observance in respect of a practice, or I could lean that way as well. Like, I understand, but that wasn't the first thing that came to mind. Observance. It's all just kind of on that, where you are right now. What do I see in front of me? That's kind of what colors do I see? What objects do I see? But it certainly can be a bigger thing than that, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's just go around and, let's share, tell us a time where you were aware of observance in your life, either observing or, the act of observance, because obviously observance is it's more of a noun, isn't it? Like, it's an action, is it? So how about you, Madeline?
Well, I immediately think of the very first time I drove into the Rockies. Like, I drove out of Calgary into the Banff area, and it was so surreal. Like, it still sticks with me how I felt so in awe of being in the middle of the mountains. So observing them, that was like, and the power of them and how it made me feel became a whole very surreal experience. And so it's that, you know, when something sticks with you after 30 some odd years, 30 something years, you kind of go, wow, that's powerful. That's a very powerful, that hit me really, really strongly. And so it's those kind of observances, observing and formulating the emotion of it that is so cool.
So, how about you, Olive? Can you?
Um, After hearing Madeline's description of the word, I think I'd like to kind of go down more the path of what you're seeing with your eyes and sensing with your senses. And I think being in BC forest was probably the time that all my senses were stimulated. The smells, the sights, the sounds, just everything was there. And that can be a religious experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Well, to me, it's really like being present with what is in the moment, right? Being overwhelmed with the presence of what I might be seeing. And I think it can come up through a ritual or a religious observance or a practice or a devotion to something as well. How about you, Lorraine?
Yeah, I still, what is something that I've really felt observed or with observance. I remember finding a shell, you know, these little shells, snails or crawl on the road. And I picked one up just we're actually dealing with British Columbia because that's where I got these. And it was a symmetrical how they curled and they grew like a snail does. And how it was like, I've got 3 of them in the bedroom, and just looking at a seashell or a snail or something, you know, a creature that has that spiral thing, and you think, how does that happen? And then when you go out and look at a flower very closely, no, we were walking in down by Bowes River's edge, and we saw the henbine plant, and it had such details, and it's a very poisonous plant, this henbine, because I think in some stories that's what the women killed their husbands with, the toxins from it. Anyway, but it was you know, just looking at the details of plants and flowers or leaves, a cobweb, and of course Randall's taken pictures of all this, and he really zooms in on how a spider makes the cobweb, and how symmetrical, and how he sees a fly in it, and how he zooms down and he wraps the cobweb around the spider. So you probably saw the pictures on Facebook, all of them. So I think it's just those little observing the details of nature and the universe in everything.
Yeah. So with becoming aware of where we're at right now, and, you know, having that be the pivotal point of where I'm going to go, tell us a time that you noticed observance in your life. Like, how did it impact you? Like, and let's look back on the past from where we are now, which is an act of observing the past. So tell us a time where observance made a difference. Lorraine?
Well, other than the nature story, I think my observance was like you, Olive, I was raised Catholic, and being on your knees and praying in church after receiving communion. That was, that obviously was an impact because it was a great deal part of my life when I was younger, and it's still, it was still that I can still feel the observance and of course when I traveled in Europe I was in all these cathedrals that were just absolutely mind-boggling and magnificent, or even visiting Lourdes, in southern France, and it was that feeling of awe and mystery. Mystic. And that, I think I came away feeling that I wasn't even good enough to be there. I had that back of my mind, I should be a little bit more saintly.
Got it. How about you, Olive? Like, when you look.
That kind of triggered a memory of mine about visiting cathedrals, both in Canada and in Europe. My observance was the immense expense, the jewels, the gold, the tapestries. And when you think of the era that those cathedrals were built and the money, and where did the money come from? It came from the poor people.
Yeah.
That was an eye-opening observance to me. Not a good way, really.
How about you, Madeline?
Well, gee, you guys are all on
Just
sort of,
go with the
yeah,
first
no,
thing that comes
it
up.
makes me think of
Go with
things
your
that
thought.
going to church, like things that I hardly ever think about anymore. It spurs memories to hear that kind of stuff, right? I think I've actually talked about this before, but because I always found church quite boring because it was in Latin when I was a kid, right? Like the whole process was just to sit there but the music was so beautiful and the organ was and the singing was but I didn't have anything to do with my hands. So I used to take necklaces and like chains and tie them into knots and then undo the knots, right? Because I just wanted something to do with my hands. Like I was a twitchy kid. And so I could be attentive to all of the atmosphere, all the, I didn't have to do anything that took my attention, but I really wanted to do something. So that's the memory I have of my devotion. I was a brat, I guess.
Yeah.
My grandma would have handed you a rosary.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Well, what comes up for me when I think about time, I think of setting a time for myself to be observant is what has been fulfilling lately, and dedicating a specific time, morning and night, where I can just observe the present moment and the value that it has on just being quiet and watching my breath, and maybe fiddling with a necklace or something. I've got a little thing I can flick because it is something with the hands want to move, and being present. So when I think of observance, I really identify with some sort of ritual, or the value of having some sort of time where there isn't a time to observe without anything else, and the value that has on our bodies and our wellness and how we care for ourselves. So what way do you think that those experiences contributed to your well-being? Madeline?
Well, I think being exposed to different environments, whether it's a church or a synagogue or a cathedral or a, forest, I think the experience is everything. And so to usually there is a focus of some description, but you know, if you go to a forest and just be forest bathing, I think you're absorbing. And so you're absorbing anyway. You're absorbing in a structured church. You're absorbing whatever is happening energetically. And I think that's really valuable. And so to be able to sit and be calm and take time for yourself is you're also absorbing whatever is happening with yourself. So I think those are all moments that are precious, really, really, really precious.
Olive?
One of my favorite, probably my very favorite cathedral is an open air forest location close to my son's home in New Hampshire. And it's called Cathedral of the Pines. It's ecumenical. Any faith can worship there. It was built by a couple who lost a son in the war. And I thought, you know, that's the way we should worship. That was it, just open air, forest. The plants and the trees are and the grounds are maintained by a volunteer group from that area. And that's just really stuck with me.
Cool. How about you, Lorraine?
What was the question?
I sent you off into the forest there.
Well, looking at the things that you do observe, like, you know, that the time, in whatever it is that you spend that time in observing with yourself, how does that benefit you? How does it benefit you even to be talking about observance today
Okay.
and being in the moment, or being in a forest, or being at a mountain, or being in a church, or having a time of ritual, or
Yeah,
what's the benefit to yourself and your wellness?
I think, you know, when, of course, I live near a lake, and when we go down to the lake, especially when it's calm, and just to look at the calmness and the blueness of the lake, and even if there's waves or the wind or something, I'm just listening to the waves come up on the shore, and you know, with that rhythm of movement, and that it really does pull your centers me. And it just like totally relaxes me. So it's just observing that type of water is the movement. You know, even sometimes just with the falling rain, it gives you some center too. So yeah, rain.
It's a powerful word, I think. So for the next week, we'll have a chance to really be with that sense of observance, be it in whatever practice or ritual you have, being it with whatever, you know, service or church you go to, or whether you're out in the mountains or just going for a walk. So what will you take with you from this conversation that will support you until we talk again? Madeline?
What I will take with me from this conversation until we talk again, the various layers of observance. I, you know, appreciate a different perspective and didn't think about it in terms of any kind of devotion. And so obviously that fits really well. So my ability to take this idea and go forward into the week, I'll be looking for more areas of where devotion, observance applies, and see where I am doing it, because of course part of what we do is so unconscious that we don't even know we're doing it. So I'm gonna be more awake to it.
What about you, Olive?
As I go forward this week, I think I'll try and be more observant. Sometimes I go through my day focused on what I'm doing, and I forget to see what's going on around me. So more observant.
Right?
You know what, what I'll take away from this conversation until we meet again is the same thing as bring that awareness that we are what we're observing, what I'm is observing, and how important it is to do that in the very simple way of just sitting and watching things grow or birds fly, and it's a devotional experience.
Well, yeah, what I'll take away is the vast ways that I can be present, and the value of how that feeds my soul. And it could be just going for a bike ride yesterday that like I did. Every moment of it was amazing, or it could be just sitting quietly. So I'm gonna just take away the variety, and it could be a spiritual or religious thing. It could be a simple thing of spending time with the family or kids or cooking or whatever. So that's what I'm going to take away, is how to be present with what I'm doing, and know that that's sort of an act of observance, and that brings more presence. And then with more presence, I can be more aware of where that served me and how it can fulfill my, really fulfill me and make me feel good. So what will you take with you that will support you for the rest of your life, Lorraine?
What will I take that will support me for the rest of my life? Well, I think it's just that peacefulness, that calmness, and not being uptight and sweating over small things, and just being able to know that all you have to do is observe and breathe and enjoy and relax.
Awesome. Olive?
I think I will take for the rest of my life pretty much what I'm going to take for the week, to be more observant of what's going on around me and appreciate each moment and each day.
Madeline?
What I will take with me for the rest of my life, I think the simplicity of everything everyone is saying. That's like, it's pretty simple, and to remember to keep it simple, because that's a much easier path than to get all wrapped up in all the spirally energy but the simplicity of it can be very energetic as well. Like, it can be, it can be high energy, but the simplicity of anything is just a more direct route, I think, is the thing I'm searching for. So keeping to direct routes. Thank you.
What I'll take with me that'll support me for the rest of my life. Well, I think this observance is quite a nice way to start off this next ownership series. And I guess I would invite anyone who is going to listen to this after, who didn't get a chance to be here, to contemplate what you're observing, what observance means to you, and maybe looking back on times where observance really has been fulfilling. So what I'll take with me is just a real sense of connectedness that will support us as we observe this ownership series. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lynn, and thank you, Olive and Madeline, for joining. I'm going to stop the recording. We'll catch up